Let's have a quick conversation about how to install WordPress locally on your PC. The thing is, when you are thinking about WordPress, you can actually access the platform remotely, like via internet access, or you can say, you know what, I want to really access it locally. So into this conversation, I want to focus on the local part of this equation. So here are the generalities I want you to really pay attention to. The thing is, WordPress is a flexible and user-friendly platform. Everybody knows that. You have about 5 to 10% of blogs and websites globally running on WordPress. Okay, so when you have WordPress, you have the possibility to actually access it via a platform if you have internet access, or you can just running from your PC or your tablets or your laptop. Okay, so what are the reasons to install WordPress locally? Well, you have three. You have a safe environment, you have a better accessibility, and you have learning curve. Why a learning curve? The learning curve is there because WordPress is not easy to learn, and you might spend a few hours or days or weeks learning the platform. But if you have it locally, you can play around with it. You can really tweak things back and forth, and you can really learn at your own pace. Okay. What in terms of safe environment? Well, running WordPress locally provides a safe environment for testing new features, new prototypes, new strategies, new scenarios, if you will, new plugins, new themes, new templates, whatever you want to test out, and you want to do so without affecting your live site, right? You want to preserve the live site while just playing around in the background. In other words, you want to have a beta version while having the live version as well, so you can experiment and make changes without worrying about breaking your site or losing data. You also have better accessibility. That's kind of cool also. The thing is that if you're thinking about the reasons to install WordPress locally, you just have to understand that it's all about experimenting. It's all about trying out new updates, trying new features. It's all about conducting troubleshooting, investigating errors, or experimenting with solutions. Okay, that's really good. Now, there are some system requirements for a local host. In terms of hardware requirements, you have to think about 4 gigabytes of RAM and 1.5 gigabytes of disk space. In terms of software requirements, you want to think about PHP 7.4 plus, MySQL 5.6 plus, or Maria database 10 plus. 10.1 plus. Okay, so that's important. So let me really get into the nitty gritty here. So if you think about installing WordPress locally on your PC, what are the setup hacks you need to really pay attention to this year? The very first thing you want to do here is that you want to install WordPress locally on Windows. Okay. So for Windows users, I actually would recommend downloading WAMP Server. So WAMP Server is a platform that allows you to really install WordPress locally on Windows. And you can see on the screen here what WAMP Server looks like. So WAMP Server is a Windows-based software tool that supports a local web development environment. So you can download this free resource to access a local website without an internet connection or a local, let's say, or a web host. That's what I want you to really focus on. I want you to really focus on the freedom that you have from the internet. Okay, you can really work without internet access. So when you learn the steps to install WordPress on WAMP, you'll be able to use Apache 2, PHP, and MySQL database to create a local site. Then you can manage it with PHP MyAdmin. So first, you want to download WAMP. Okay, so go to the WAMP server website and navigate to downloads, and you will see there two options: 64 bits and 32 bits. So you want to really go for the number of bits that really is suitable for your conditions. So you will need to download the best version for your computer based on its operating system type. If you don't know what operating system you are using, you can go to Control Panel, System and Security, System, and then look up the System Type section. Next, you want to define your default browser. So basically what happens here is that you want to follow instructions, actually, which include accepting the license agreements. You also need to set a destination location to install WAMP server. Next, you want to proceed through the installation wizard until you reach a screen where you can confirm your choices. then click on install. This will begin extracting files and sending them to your set destination. So web server will ask you to confirm what default web browser you wanted to use during installation. The program defaults to IE Internet Explorer, but you can designate whatever you prefer. You can have a Chrome, Mozilla, whatever, Safari. Once the installation process is complete, web server will show you a brief instruction screen explaining how to interact with the software. And next, you want to launch PHP MyAdmin and login. Okay, that's really the foundation. And on your PHP MyAdmin login screen, you want to enter roots under the username section. Leave the password blank, the password field blank. After this, click on Go to access the PHP MyAdmin dashboard. Next thing you want to do here is you want to create a database and install WordPress. Okay, so among the tabs at the top of the page, you want to choose databases, and to create a new database for your WordPress site, you want to enter a name into the text box and select collation. Okay, collation in the following drop-down menu. So you can see on the screen here. Next, you'll need to download the platform. Go to WordPress.org website and choose Get WordPress. So once it downloads as a zip file, you want to extract the WordPress folder and copy it. Then locate the folder where WAMP is installed. And so that's pretty good. You want to rename the WordPress folder to anything you want. Okay, so that's totally up to you. Next, you want to visit your testing sites. Okay, so to start setting up WordPress, you will need to choose a language. So when filling out the database details, use root as your username and leave the password space blank. And after this, WordPress will connect to your database and you can continue to run the installation process. So you want to enter the site's title, username, password, and email address for your WordPress account when you actually see a welcome screen. So finally, you want to actually click login to access the WordPress dashboard of your local site. And after that, you are ready to start conducting any testing and or troubleshooting you like. And the thing is, if you ever encounter any functional issues that prevent you from going through the steps I just gave you, you can actually go to a web server support forums for troubleshooting tips. Okay, there you can find resolutions. You can find instructions about many common web server problems. I mean, the community is really big, and there are a lot of people actually helping with free advice. Now, while a local test environment gives you control over your WordPress setup, online sandboxes and test sites are getting traction for quick testing, such as WordPress Playground. Okay, so opt for this if you want a fast solution without the technical hassle. So something to really think about. Next, so this is the first method. So first method, install WordPress locally on Windows. The second method is install WordPress locally on Mac OS. So to install WordPress for Mac locally, you'll need compatible software. So to start installing WordPress locally, we actually recommend using MAMP, M-A-M-P. This is one of the best tools to create a local WordPress site on Mac OS system, MAMP. So you can see on the screen here, here's how the platform looks like. So MAMP is actually a combined software package. In other words, you'll have all the tools you need to create a local WordPress environment. So the process is similar. I mean, MAMP follows a similar setup process to WAMP, except that it has options to support macOS based software. So using MAMP Pro, you can even test your WordPress site on a mobile device. So with its Namo application, you can edit your website on different devices, such as your smartphone or tablet. So that's kind of cool. And while you're at it, I just need to tell you that another benefit of MAMP is that you won't have to start a script or change any configuration files. Since MAMP does not modify any existing systems, you can simply delete the app once you are finished using it. And I really recommend that you really delete it because you want to save some space on your computer or your laptop. So step number one, you want to download and install MAMP. So when downloading any of this options, you will be able to access both MAMP and MAMP Pro. However, you can delete MAMP Pro to only use the free version. Then you want to open the downloaded MAMP file. This will launch the step-by-step installation instructions. So you want to start by accepting the license agreements and choosing the disk you want to install MAMP on. Before installation, the program will tell you exactly how much storage space the software uses. And after you follow the installation guide, you should receive a success message telling you that the installation was successful. Next, you want to customize your preferences. So launch the MAMP app by double-clicking on its icon and find the preferences menu in the upper left-hand corner and select the ports tab, not the lab, the tab. In the Apache port section, enter 80. This will enable you to access your local site, okay? However, keep in mind that using 80 as your Apache port will always prompt you for a password. So keep the Nginx port at quadruple 8 and the MySQL port at 8889. So after you have finished customizing the port, you want to select OK. Then go to the Web Server tab, choose the folder where you want to store your website, okay? You can choose a new folder and name it anything you want. For example, your documents root could be users, username, sites, WordPress, okay? So after you make your changes, click on OK. Next, you want to download WordPress and move it to the root directory, okay? So when you download WordPress, you want to navigate once again to the WordPress.org website and click on Get WordPress, then extract the zip file and copy the WordPress folder. And so go to your Finder and navigate to Applications, and then you have MAMP. So rename the WordPress folder anything you like. For example, you can use a memorable name such as Testing Site. Next, you want to create a database. So go to your MAMP control panel and click on the button labeled Web Start. This will open a browser and take you to the MAMP welcome page. That's kind of cool. And on your PHP My Admin page, you want to navigate to the Databases tab, and under the Create Database section, enter a database name. Be sure to choose UTF-8 General CI as shown in the following section on the screen. Just look on the screen. So after this, you want to click on Create. Next, you want to go to the testing site. Okay, you want to install WordPress on localhost, and to start, open your web browser and enter HTTP localhost. If you have configured your settings correctly, this will pull up actually a WordPress welcome page. Now you'll need to enter your database information. Start by identifying your database name, then enter the same username and password you used previously, and add localhost to the database host. Next, you want to fill in the username, password, and email address you will use for your WordPress site. And you want to give your site a title and click the Install WordPress button. Finally, what you want to do is you want to click the Login button to access your testing sites. Okay. Now, if you face any problems when completing this setup steps, consider looking through MAMP support forums to find specific advice after troubleshooting and solving common issues. Or just let me know in the comment section, and we'll certainly get back to you with the right answers, actually. Next, the third method is actually installing WordPress locally with XAMPP. So number 1, Windows, number 2, macOS, number 3, XAMPP. So similar to a WAMP and MAMP, XAMPP comprises Apache HTTP server, MySQL, and PHP software. And all of these software packages are free to download and can effectively install WordPress locally. Okay. However, XAMPP is a cross-platform software tool, meaning what? meaning that it can support the Windows, Mac OS, and Linux based operating system. So, due to its simple interface, as a beginner, you will find it easy to learn how to use XAMPP. Additionally, it comes with an additional high level programming language called actually Perl. So, first of all, you want to download XAMPP. So, basically, go to the official Apache Friends website. Then navigate the click here for other versions to see the different download options. So choose the XAMPP version that aligns with your operating system. Okay. You can click on the newest version and then find the file that ends with either DMG or XZ. Okay. Mac OS users will want the GMG file, while Windows users should actually download the executable file. So since we are downloading XAMPP software for Mac OS, we actually are choosing the former. You want to choose from the list of components. So once you have downloaded the correct XAMPP file, double click on its icon to open the installer. You will be able to go through a step-by-step setup wizard. First, select the components you want to install. When you click on specific components, you will see additional features such as program languages and server types. So to install WordPress locally, you only need to access Apache, MySQL, PHP, and PHP MyAdmin. So once you have finished, click on Next. This will begin an automatic installation of the XAMPP core files. So launch the control panel and test the server. Next, you want to download WordPress and add the folder to XAMPP. So don't forget to rename the WordPress folder with a recognizable title such as My Testing Site. That will help you later on. Next, you want to create a database. So go back to your XAMPP information page at the HTTP localhost, and in the top right corner, click on PHP MyAdmin. Select the Databases tab and create a new database. You can use any name you want, but be sure that the second drop-down menu is labeled collation. I want to insist on that collation. After you click on Create, you'll be able to access your new testing sites. So go to your testing sites, okay? Open basically a new browser window and search for HTTP localhost my testing site. So it's important to replace my testing site with the name you chose earlier. After you click the Let's Go button, you'll need to enter your database connection details. Simply add the database name you created in PHP admin, MyAdmin, then enter root as the username and keep the password space blank. For Windows and Linux users, WordPress will automatically store this info in a file called wp config php. However, Mac OS users will be shown manual code you can use to create the file yourself. To do this, go to your original WordPress folder and find the wp config simple PHP file, then use a text editor such as TextEdit to open it. So copy the code that WordPress gave you and paste it into the file. Then rename the file to hp config php. Finally, you want to move the file into your root directory, and after you are finished with it, you can continue with your WordPress installation. Then create a username, password, and email address to log into your WordPress, and finally, select Install WordPress. So to sign into your local WordPress site, go to localhost my testing sites WP admin. Be sure to use the login credentials you just created. And if you encounter any connection issues, you can search the Apache Friends support forum. You can find users who went through similar problems and found solutions to them. Alternatively, you can create a new topic if a specific error has not been discussed before. One thing I want to say here is that you have to be very careful to understand that once you have done developing on a local WordPress site, you can migrate it to a live server. so that you don't have to build from scratch again. Okay, that's important. Let me give you a few extras here. So no matter what operating system you have, you can learn to install WordPress locally. So in today's conversation, I'll share with you the three types: WAMP, MAMP, and XAMPP. Okay, those three are free, easy to use local server environments that make this process very simple. You can create a staging site to test software and troubleshoot WordPress performance issues with these tools. So to summarize, here are the three best methods for locally installing WordPress. So WAMP is for Windows. Okay, use this free web development environment for Windows. So you can get Apache, MySQL, and PHP software needed to install a local version of a WordPress website. What about MAMP? Well, unlike WAMP, MAMP can support both the macOS and Windows operating system. What about XAMPP? Well, this cross-platform software has a clean interface and high-level programming language that even beginners can use to create their first staging site. So that's kind of cool. But bottom line here is that you are able to really install on whatever OS that you have. Okay. But if you want your WordPress website to go online, you need to have the right hosting provider. So once you have chosen the appropriate web host, then comes the actual installation of WordPress itself. So most hosts offer tools such as an auto installer or one-click installation for WordPress, which makes setting up everything incredibly easy. And one thing I want to say here is that if you want to really install WordPress offline, the primary requirement is to have a web server installed depending on the operating system of your computer, such as Apache, MAMP, or LAMP, or XAMPP. You also need to create a database to store data from WordPress, such as MySQL. Okay, so that's something to really think about. And one thing I want to say here is that there are multiple ways to install WordPress. So the best option depends on your technical skills. I recommend using an auto installer to install WordPress for beginners. However, if you are a web developer with more experience, you can find installing locally actually more interesting. In closing, today's conversation, I explained to you how to install WordPress locally on your PC. I gave you the generalities, the setup hacks, the extras, and now the closing argument. Thank you so much. God bless you. I will see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.